Hi friends, welcome to First Studies YouTube channel. This is part 92 in Azure Data Factory playlist. In this video, we are going to discuss about user-defined functions in mapping data flows. This is the latest feature what they added. Using this user-defined functions, what you can do, you can actually reuse the expression logic whatever you created inside the data flow. So in the data flow, we use expressions to perform any kind of logic, right? For example, maybe converting data to the capital letters, maybe replacing some values with another values. So for all that, we use a lot of expressions, inbuilt functions there. For example, if that expression logic whatever you create, you want to reuse it across the data flows within the data factory, then you can create a user defined function with that expression logic and reuse that logic everywhere using that user defined function name. Let me practically show you that so that you will make sense of it. So this is my storage account called ADLS Mahir. I have a container called sample container and I have a folder called data folder inside this sample container. So there is a file called employees.csv file. Let me go to inside the file and let me hit this edit tab to show you the data. So let me preview this data as well. So here we have some male employees, few female employees, and also there are few employees where we don't have any gender at all. So in this case, maybe let's assume according to my use case, in the data flow I need to convert this gender column values as 1 and 0. So wherever you see male, it should be integer 1. Wherever you see female, it should be integer 0. If there is no gender specified or if there is any other value apart from male and female, then it should be -1. So that is what my requirement. So let's try to do how to implement this using the expressions inside the data flow. And once we implement it, we will create a user defined function also for it. So let me go to data factory. I have created a data flow called data flow 1. I added a source transformation here. So here, let's try to select a data set. So for that, let me try to create a new data set. So let me select here ADLS Gen2 connector, continue, CSV format file. So let me hit continue and we can name it anything. So let me name it EMP. And let's try to create a linked service. I have already created a linked service for the storage. So if I open, see, it is pointing to same ADLS Mahir account. Okay. So now first row in my file is a header and I want to import the schema as well. So now let me hit this OK button to create this dataset. So what it will do, it will create a dataset which is pointing to this employees.csv file. And if you go to the projection, it might have got the schema as well. So here ID column values are actually integer values, but since it is a CSV file, everything will come as a string type. So I can change it explicitly here. That is fine. So now, as I said, what I want to do in the gender column, wherever I see male, then I want to highlight that as a integer 1, female highlight it as a integer 0, and if it is a different value, not male and female or empty, anything, whatever it is, then it should be -1. So for that, what I will be doing here, I will be adding a derived column transformation because I want to change the data inside a column, and here I can select the column which I want to change, gender column, and here let's try to open the expression builder to write our expression. So our expression for this gender column is going to be like if gender column value equals to male, then get the value as 1, or else write another if condition here. Here if gender value is female, then get value as 0 or else -1. So what it will do, it will check if it is a male, then it will update 1, or else it will validate the second expression here. If it is a female, then it will take 0. If it is not a female as well, then it will take the -1 as a value. So now let me copy this Control A, Control C, and let me hit this save and finish button, and let's try to enable this data flow debug option and then try to preview the data and make sure whether our data in the gender column is getting converted as 1, 0 and -1 or not. So remember that there is an employee called ABCD which has a different value which is not male and female. It is actually null or empty. Okay. So here for the employee ID 9, it should be -1. For employee ID 1, it should be 1. So wherever we see females, it should be zeros. So let's wait for the debug mode to enable here. Debug mode enabled. Let me go to data preview. And now let me hit this refresh button to see the data whether our expression is able to convert the values accordingly or not. Let's wait for the fetch data to happen here. Great. See, we get the gender values as zeros, ones and -1 as well, right? So now let's assume this logic I want to create as a user defined function. Maybe let's assume in multiple data flows inside this data factory, I want to use the similar logic on the gender column. So I don't want to write this lengthy expression every time. So what I can do, I can create a user defined function for this logic. So for that, you can go to management hub, go to this data flow libraries. So this is the option where you can create functions. So before creating any function, you need to make sure to create a library first. Inside the library, you can add multiple functions. So library is nothing but like a collection, you can think like. So let me hit this new library. you can name it. So for example, in the real time, you want to create a multiple functions for sales data, you want to create multiple functions for employee data, so you can name these libraries accordingly. So here maybe I am name it like string functions because it is going to work with the string data. So anything, you can name it anything as your library name. Try to group that library name as per the requirement of the functions. So inside this library, I want to create a new function, hit this new button, and here maybe I can give a name for my function like gender values in integer. Okay, so this is what the name of the function I want to give, and then arguments, that means for that function what and all arguments you want to pass. So when you hit this add button, it will add the argument by default I1. If I hit once again I2, like that. So arguments are nothing but like a parameters. So in our case, we want to supply the gender column values as a arguments. So only one column value we are going to supply into this function. So only one argument is enough, which is going to be string type. That is fine. Now this is where you need to write your expression. So hit this open expression builder to open it, and let me paste that expression whatever I copied here. Wherever I see that gender column, instead of that, this time I want to pass this argument value. So if I argument value is male, then get value as 1. If it is not male, then go and validate the second expression, and here if the argument value is female, then get value as 0 or else -1. So in place of this I1, we will supply the gender column itself as a value when we use this function. So I will practically show you that as well. Let me hit this save and finish. So this is what my function name, gender values as values in integer, and we have already created this function inside a library. So let me hit this save button. Let me hit this save button once again. So this is the library name. Inside this library name, this is the function name. If you want to add another function, hit this new button and add the another function as well. So let me hit save button to save these changes. Now our function created, our function name is gender values in integer, and this is the library name. So now let's go to data flow, and inside the data flow, let's go to derived column. This time what I will do, I don't use this big lengthy expression here, so I will delete it. Instead, let me open this expression builder, and this time what I will do, if you see here, there is something called data flow library functions. So whatever the function we just created, it is coming here. So let me select that, and if you see, this function expects one parameter or one argument to be passed. So that argument is going to be nothing but my gender column. So here under this input schema, so that gender column I am supplying directly into that function. So let me hit this save and finish, and now this time if I refresh the data, I should still get the same gender values in ones, zeros and -1. Let's wait for this preview to happen. Great. See, if you see, we got our data converted same way. So now since we created this function, user defined function, what I can do, let's assume I have another data flow as well, and in that another data flow also we are going to use the same source data set as an employee, and we are getting the gender column. And maybe now this time here also I have a need of using that gender column and converting that values into ones, zeros. In that case, what I can do here, directly I can use that. So here I want to convert this gender column into ones and zeros with the help of the new user defined function whatever we created. So same way here I will go to this data flow library functions, use my function name, and to my function name I am going to supply my column name. See, very simple. So I have not written the expression logic, right? Once again, the logic is getting reused because we created a user defined function. So that is the main advantage of this user defined functions. So if I see the presentation, user defined functions are basically help you to reuse the logic across the multiple data flows within the data factory. And also these user defined functions will live in a collection called a library. As I said, inside a library you can create your functions, right? So this is how you use these user defined functions to create your own functions with the custom logic of the mapping data flow. I hope you got an idea about what is user defined functions in the mapping data flow. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon to get the notification whenever I add videos. Thank you so much.